What is up guys, and welcome back for another build for Godfall. After a lot of requests, today I have a really powerful build to show you for Armistice. Armistice is really a powerhouse. If you believe Augments and Consumes are the only powerful build, then Armistice is here to change that. He can be super powerful because of his Augment constellation, but it does make him a real glass cannon. With the Exalted towers being a real pain for builds like these, especially if you're wanting to use dual blades, some enemies will be able to toss you around endlessly. Especially those down incinerators. God, they're the worst enemies ever. But we will still utilize some really powerful items that can make him get through anything in the game. If you guys enjoyed the video, a like would be really appreciated. If you want to see more of my builds, be sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you don't miss out on any of my future videos. With that, let's get right into the build. Now Armistice got some really decent shards, but they're nothing too overpowered or even game changing like any of the other ones we have seen so far. His shards are more gimmicky than anything else. And the Exalted towers, you will barely get any use of them. Still, let's go over the two shards I used for this build. First one being the Shattering Banner. This will allow your banners to send out shockwaves and do breach damage to all enemies within the banner era. The breach damage to all enemies is nice, but the main reason is the shockwave. The shockwave is able to interrupt enemy attacks on some occasions. You can see here the boss gets a grab attack on me, but the shockwave is able to save me by interrupting his attack. Even though the shockwave does not do any damage at all, just for his ability to interrupt the enemies with their attacks is pretty useful to have, especially in the Exalted towers. The next shard we use is the Way of the Anvil. This again is great to have as you can gain takedown damage and breach damage whenever you perform a takedown. You can make great use out of this skill by using your spectral takedowns on enemies to get those bonuses nice and easily. This shard is amazing in the Ascended towers as well as Lightbringer, as you can gain up to 300% breach damage, making it super easy to perform takedowns. Now let's have a look at the weapons. We are going to be using physical damage DPS weapons, so we can do even more damage when we inflict bleed, and for that the most powerful weapon for this build is the Wanderer's Ambition. This weapon is totally insane, and the damage that it can dish out compared to any other weapon is absolutely ridiculous. It does have its downfall though, since you will be taking more damage in return. If you find yourself dying, then switch to something else like the Last Victory, so you can keep on healing. Having this perk on a Twin Dragon or a Quintessent Blade with physical DPS would be even better. For your secondary weapon, it's best to have a longsword. Just having a dual blade alone will sometimes not be enough to take out everything, and especially in the Exalted towers. For that, we can use any physical DPS weapon you have. My recommendation are the Sword of Courage, Seath, or the Dracul's Legacy. Make sure on your weapons you have as much crit chance as you can. For the charm, we use the Matrix Star for faster weapon take charge as well as applying the Mark of Fragility. If you don't have this, then just go for the Lance Talisman, it will be just as good. The Amulet of the Betrayer is the best amulet we can use for this build. Since we don't have a lot of vitality and this build is pretty much a glass cannon, getting that 5 to 7 seconds of invulnerability is great to have. For the rings, firstly we use the Eye of the Dragon. This ring will give us overhealth as well as our weapon techniques to inflict elements. For the second ring, we have quite a few choices. If you want to increase your damage even further, then go for the Fiona's ring, as it will increase your weak point and weapon tech damage even further. If you want some more healing and vitality, go for something like the Mark of the Red Armor or the Zoe's Embrace. For the banner, we use the Mace's Bandrel for more damage, and for the Lifestone, we use the Archon's Tear. Now let's have a look at the Augments. Armistice has access to 7 Might Augments, which is the reason why we're able to do so much damage. He doesn't need Consume or Elements to do that really high damage. He just gets all this raw power. The first augment we have is the Absorption. This will give us Archon Fury charge speed whenever we hit a weak point. This effect will stack if you constantly hit weak points. Spark for more weapon take charge speed with constant weak point hits. Then for the important legendary augment, we have Surety. This is the item that will expose weak points for us. Whenever we hit an enemy with the Northern technique, we can expose our enemy's weak points. With Dual Blaze, this effect will always be active when we enter Inner Focus. For our next augment, we have Focus, just to get a little bit of overhealth with every critical hit. Iron Heart for added crit chance is always nice. Twilight Bloom is the most powerful augment as it will increase your weapon take damage tremendously. Then for the last Might augment, we have Paradise, for even more weapon take charge on critical hits. Since we have so many Might augments that will give us tremendous amount of damage, we are super vulnerable as our healing is not going to be that strong, especially in the Exalted towers. which is why we use Implacable. This will give us 5 to 7 seconds of invulnerability whenever we use our life stone. We do so much damage in those 7 seconds, we can absolutely delete everything in our way. Even though you have full invincibility, you can still get tossed around and get inflicted with elements like darkness or corruption. So you will still need to be careful. I really hope they fix this. Even though you're invincible for the 7 seconds, you can still sometimes not get anything done, as the red power attacks or grabs can still knock you down and interrupt you. I would really want that for those 7 seconds, absolutely nothing can affect you. Still, nonetheless, this is an amazing augment and can get you through almost anything, even in the Exalted towers. Just block your life stone and everything around you would just die near instantly, regardless of who they are. Here is a look at the skill tree. Go fully into timing attacks, as you can use the weapon tech timing to get more invincible frames on your longsword. Go fully into takedowns so you can get access to the spectral takedowns. This is mostly what you will use to stack up on your breach damage in the Exalted towers. Everything else is pretty much standard. Here is a look at the Ascension powers and the stat sheet. That is it for the build guides. It's one of the strongest builds by far that doesn't need to rely on elements, consume, or even any shards. His shards are pretty good, but definitely not the best. I really hope to see some of his shards get a buff in a future patch. The weak point damage and weapon tech damage on his build is super high. It does come with a price for being very vulnerable, so use your life stones and get those few seconds of invincibility. Everything will get absolutely destroyed in mere seconds when you proc your stone. The Wanderer's Ambition is the most powerful weapon for this build. You will take increased damage during inner focus, so use it only if you feel comfortable in your gameplay. Otherwise, use any other dual blades you would prefer. Hope you guys enjoyed the build. It's a super glass cannon build, but it is still able to reach up to floor 8 to even floor 10 in the Exalted towers. Is this the best build to clear the towers? Probably not, but just the sheer damage you can dish out in just a few seconds is pretty amazing. Comment down below what you guys all think. I would love to hear from you all. I will catch you all next time.